And we're back with another episode. And we said this the first time, which was the first episode.
Yes. And now we are back for the sequel. The sequel, like the industry itself is known for constant sequels, sequelitis.
Speaking of sequels, our two topics for today are part 2.
Yes.
And our the Oscar
yes,
thing.
It is. We are recording this on the sequel to Mario Day, or March 10th.
Oh,
and, yeah.
No, it's actually 11th, babe.
Yeah. Mario Day was March 10th.
Oh.
And today is the sequel to March 10th. Okay. It is March 11th. Are you with me?
All right.
Okay. So, yeah, yesterday was the Oscars, and while we didn't get to experience all of it due to an allergic reaction to a particular movie winning, everything.
Quick side note, our Oscar watch was derailed because I had to go to the ER halfway through because I had an allergic reaction, we think, to something that I drank, which sounds like I was like drinking, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
It was like this raspberry thing.
Yes.
So anyway, we missed the I'm Just Ken performance, so we have to watch that.
Yeah.
And so we were getting our live Wikipedia updates, and it made the ER visit that much more horrible because they were the most upsetting updates ever.
Yes.
So.
And I think your reaction was getting worse by the moment that you saw Oppenheimer continue to just blow past every competitor.
Let's dig into it. Should we
get the Oscars done first?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just address that first.
So our thoughts on the Oscars. You and I are pretty much in agreement. The first Oscar win for the night was
do you remember her name? I don't remember her name. Is it Divine or Devine? I don't remember.
It's Devine.
Okay.
And it was wonderful. So happy that she won Best Supporting Actress
for
The Holdovers. And for those of you that maybe think she looks familiar, if you've seen Only Murders in the Building, she is a total badass in Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah.
Wonderful character she played. And I applaud the Academy for giving Supporting Actress to her.
Can I just say, too, I think, and we were talking about this with the friends, shout out to our good friends who hosted the party that we were only there for half.
And they made homemade Oscar bingo, and
it was
great,
and gave amazing gifts, which we were not going to go into detail.
No.
But it was amazing. Yeah, we love you guys. Anyway, so we were commenting on this as we were watching it. I just want to say I thought the performance itself, like the whole ceremony, was really stellar. I mean, the opening monologue was great. I've seen some stinkers before, and it was really, really good. Calling out the below the line crew by having them come out and the Teamsters and everything. That was amazing.
And their way of presenting.
That's what I was going to get to. Is that when they bring out other people who have won in those categories, specifically, I think it was the acting. I don't think they had for director. I actually don't know if they did.
It reminded me of
but yeah,
our college's Hall of Fame where they introduce. So you have a distinguished family or friend introduce you.
It lended. I think we were just all kind of enamored with that style because it lended a lot of credibility to, hey, here's this person who won a year or two ago.
Yeah.
And they were speaking to that person as a friend, as a peer, saying, it took you a long time to get here, but look at you. You're here now, and you did an amazing job at this role and many other roles. And it was it made it so special. I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Other big wins that were exciting. Jack, if you want to just take a minute to talk about Godzilla.
Oh.
Because that.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about that.
Of course, we missed it, but I thought amazing that I think it was the first time that team, that specific team that was working on that movie, it was the first time they took home an Oscar, from what I heard.
Yeah.
And it was for Godzilla -1.
Yep.
And
is that in your top 10 of 2020?
Yeah.
I figured.
Yep. Okay. Yes, he was in my top 5. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, stellar film, and they, wow, I just was, I don't know if you saw the acceptance speech, but I went back and watched it, and I thought it was really cool just to highlight, you know, this is not just an international foreign film on an American stage like they do for those types of categories, but it just like the words they had to say, it was cool to get acknowledgement, because a movie like that rarely gets acknowledged for that, and for it to take home visual effects too. I said this last time, but really small budget, like really small.
Yeah.
And that was just so cool to see it get that recognition, even though it was under those constraints, which I think was a couple of different speeches.
And they were all wearing black heels with like Godzilla.
Yeah.
Godzilla
claws. Yeah.
So, yeah. Another. I wasn't mad that Robert Downey Jr. won Best Supporting Actor.
Oh no. And I think
I probably would have chosen somebody different, but
who would you have chosen? I think we can kind of touch on that.
Yeah, now I'm forgetting. Not Mark Ruffalo.
Oh yeah, he was one of the. Well,
probably not Sterling K. Brown. Again, these performances were incredible, but
stacked here.
I'm trying to. Oh, was it Ryan? Was
Ryan?
Yeah,
Gosling?
yeah.
Is that who you would have?
Yeah, I probably would chose Ryan Gosling. But I mean, the entirety of the Oscars. I think my biggest problem was that I already went in upset that like Barbie wasn't nominated for hardly anything. So
I mean, it got 5 noms, I think.
Yeah, well,
Greta
got nothing, so
so it got
neither did Margot.
Oh yeah.
So like to not have Margot as Best Actress for Barbie, to not have Greta Gerwig as Best Directing for Barbie. Like that, I was already upset going into the Oscars, and so I guess in part, I was really, really wanting Ryan Gosling to get Best Supporting. I can't even think of who the other Best Supporting.
I think you said a lot of them. It was Mark Ruffalo, Sterling K. Brown, or Robert Downey Jr., and that obviously we're forgetting someone. I know we are. But I can't think of who.
But anyway, I'm not mad. So Robert Downey Jr. won. He gave a really beautiful acceptance speech too. So if you've at all been interested in RDJ's life, I think he did a beautiful speech. So yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
What else? Oh, sorry, we're recording outside.
Yeah, we are recording on the walk again, which is why it's loud. I'll see if I can clean it up a little bit. But, yeah, I think, so it didn't surprise me at all. And this is one thing that, like, to a greater point, I will touch on, too, because I don't remember if I didn't say this to anyone else except you after the night ended. Mm-hmm. But just really quick, touching on American Fiction, it won one award.
Yeah.
And it was for Best Adapted Screenplay, which I called.
Yeah.
I was, like, pretty much like, yep, it's going to win that.
So.
Rightly so.
They should have. We're very happy about that.
Yes, absolutely. I think it could have won more. I'm a big fan of Jeffrey Wright. I'm not saying he should have won Best Actor, but I wouldn't have been upset if he would have, especially because his performance is amazing.
Yeah.
But if there was, the way I described it when we talked about the nominees with some of our friends and with each other, is that to me, I think if you look at like what a film is known for, like its strengths,
mm-hmm.
I think that American Fiction, like its biggest strength was its writing. It's not that everything else was like weak or unimportant. It's just that is the thing that really sticks out as like, wow, the writing was so strong.
Yep.
And I haven't read the book, but, you know, in terms of just the writing quality on its own, really phenomenal as a film.
Yeah. And as far as like the top 10 nominees for Best Picture, like if I had to like really urge people to see a few of them, like I wouldn't even probably give people my top 2. I would say like, please go see The Holdovers and please go see American Fiction.
Mm-hmm. Those are pretty good.
They're just like good. They're good for the American soul.
for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah. For both very separate reasons.
Yeah. No, I think, so what I was going to say before I finished commenting on American Fiction, because like The other film, which I was so glad it got one of 2 Oscars for, was The Zone of Interest.
Yeah.
It didn't win an award for Best Directing, but it won Best International Feature, which is not that far off from it.
Yeah.
But the directing was, like, to me, kind of the standout aspect of that film.
Yes.
But what I was going to say, and I said this to you at the end, is that to me, out of all the nominees for Best Picture, out of all of them, I'd say the 2 that had the most to say about the process of award shows and the most to say about the industry itself, they pretty much got exactly what they were, like, exactly what they were saying proved to be true. And it was Barbie and American Fiction.
So really what you're saying is, like, Barbie and American Fiction had this commentary on
the industry,
recognition and the industry, and lo and behold, they really didn't get the recognition that they deserved.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing that just we can kind of segue a little bit into broader criticism about, because again, like, last year was amazing. It was amazing. And I feel like, if anything, I would have just liked more variety in the awards. But, like, it just was funny to me that's, like, Barbie comments so much on the fact that women are put in boxes.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively.
And guess who swept all of the Oscars? The male-dominated Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Look, and just to be clear, I don't dislike Oppenheimer. It is not in my top 10 movies of 2023.
Oh, it's
but in regards to the top 10 nominees of Best Picture, it's not at number 10.
Yeah.
In fact, it's at number 8.
Yes.
So
you're fair to it.
For the record, I think it's good.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I liked it better than Poor Things. Poor Things is a completely different subject that I feel like is... We could spend an entire episode on Poor Things.
We probably could.
Did we mention? No, we didn't.
We did not mention Poor Things. But we had thoughts on that, which, that should be its own separate topic, I feel like.
So, as far as Oppenheimer goes, like, I know that this is where anyone that's listening, it's just us. It's just, no one's ever going to see this.
Yeah.
No, but Oppenheimer, I'm losing my train of thought. I just think that Christopher Nolan's not all that great. And, it was... I would love to read the book. It was... I would give it best cinematography, and I would give it best supporting actor.
You would,
but I wouldn't. No, I'm just saying, those are the 2 that I agree with.
Okay.
But Oppenheimer got best score. I don't think I would agree with that. Oppenheimer got best
director,
best director, and best picture.
Best leading actor.
Best leading. I think the one that I would disagree with most is best leading actor. Yeah, Cillian Murphy did fine. But as far as, like, best actor,
I mean,
man, there's Paul Giamatti. I
am pretty biased towards liking him, but, like, we were talking a little bit about this. I will probably not be able to find it, but I told you about this article that I read from a website that it's defunct. It's no longer around, but they wrote some amazing pieces. They had, like, it was, I would say, some of the best, like, modern articles on the internet at the time. And they had an article talking about the awards process and, like, how, like, why they're, like, basically, why isn't there a rubric? Why isn't there something that's more clear to measure?
Saying is, like, what you should do, like, since we're really, what we're doing with this specific episode is we are criticizing the critics.
Yeah. In a way, yes.
I don't understand why it just feels like the boys club, like, oh, we should really give to Christopher Nolan. Spielberg and
is Martin Scorsese here you talking about?
Oh, they both worked on Maestro. Like, we got to give them something. It's like,
I don't
Barbie,
Barbie
they won one thing.
Did Maestro win?
So they won something. I thought.
I don't think.
But, like, it feels like Barbie took so many risks. But no, they have to, like, they got to, like, what Jack said earlier, like, it's all about like the historical fiction. There's like the Academy has this brand, and it's like is the entire point of film that there is no brand. And so if I were to like be in control, I would say you have the Academy, they watch the movies, they like fill out a rubric, and you could do it as simple as like, what would you rate it for best cinematography? What would you rate it for best writing, for best directing? And then like you tally the totals of each individual.
Like for the ratings and like average it, you mean?
So like, yeah, let's say like you and I were just the Academy, like, and we watched all of them, and like, you know, whatever movie has the most stars.
Yeah.
That like, why can't that just be?
Yeah, and I think this is,
Maybe you have it.
This is part of the problem is that I should be able to speak more intelligently to this, but I can't because I haven't, for a couple different reasons. One, I haven't like deeply looked into it, but to my understanding, and this is my understanding of how they do things, they basically just tally just raw votes about like who do you pick for this category and not a rating. I think a rating would be a better way to solve it because it like breaks it down more like it with more finesse and it articulates it more clearly. And I honestly, I also think that film is meant to be discussed like by the audience. I think that I personally believe that is a huge part of like, it's why we're doing this. It's why we're doing this whole thing, because we have talked about movies so much and movies allow us to talk about things we normally wouldn't talk about. Like Zone of Interest and American Fiction are perfect examples of like subject matter that it'd be hard for you and I to talk about without seeing people who could speak to those specific viewpoints and those specific stories.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so important to have discussions about it. So like the pitch I would make is like, aside from just ratings, you should really like have an open forum, have a public discussion about, hey, like here's the, why do you rate this way? Like you and I were just going over our rankings.
So we have our rankings from the top 10 nominees. And yes.
Oh boy!
To challenge one another. Before we just like touch on that. So in general, yeah, I'm definitely upset that Oppenheimer swept it because I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah.
But it seemed recycled. I know, like I mean, you pull out Holdovers, pull out American Fiction, pull out Past Lives. They're so unique. And quick shout out, I'm forgetting the actress's name, but there was an actress that was in 2.
Sandra Huller.
2 of these nominees.
I'm kind of sure. I'm a little surprised she didn't.
She was in Anatomy of the Fall and Zone of Interest. She's like trilingual.
Yeah.
So she was speaking in Anatomy of the Fall. She was speaking English and French.
Yes. Yep.
And then in Zone of Interest, she was speaking in German.
Yep.
Like, woo! And there was.
Which wasn't her character in Anatomy of the Fall, wasn't it German? Or like, do you remember that? Like there's that whole kind of...
Like her husband was German?
Something like that, which I don't know. People outside of America are just have like a baseline so much more intelligent than we are.
Anyway, I think the Albert general takeaway is we're really bummed that Barbie didn't get hardly any recognition.
It won Best Original Song.
Yeah, Best Original Song,
and that was it.
Great. And Billie Eilish did a great performance. She added a lot of chest voice in there, which I loved. And it's like, even, like, Ryan Gosling got nothing. And the one comment that our friends made the other day was, like, the whole point of Barbie is, like we're in a male-dominated world, and, like, Margot Robbie was the one that, like, it wouldn't be Barbie without her.
Yeah.
And Ryan's the one getting all the recognition.
Yep.
You know, which, I mean, he should be getting recognition because he made something out of plastic.
And I would also argue that was part of the point of the film, is that it wasn't just about, you know, women's suffrage or like women's rights. It wasn't just about that. It was about gender equality. I see it like...
all of y'all that think that, like, this is a feminist movie, like, it was empowering humans to feel things, to be proud, to be upset. And that was what was so wonderful about it. So
Yeah.
the general Albert consensus of the Oscars is Oppenheimer should not have gotten that many awards.
I would have given it 3. I think we should talk a little bit about, like, because we've been saying, oh, they should have done this, they should have done that. What I would like to kind of close out our discussion on the Oscars particularly before we get to a sequel that we recently saw in 2024. I would like you just like firing off the hip, just talking, casually. What are some choices you would have made differently for specific categories because that you can remember? And maybe you can't remember specifics, but like I can distinctly think of like 3, 4, maybe 5 categories.
Rattle them off.
Okay. So for me, I mean, I take American Fiction as an example where it's like, I'm so glad that won Best Adapted Screenplay because that's what I would have given it. For like Best Directing, I'm sorry. I would not have given it to Christopher Nolan.
No.
I would have given it to Jonathan Glazer. 100%. It's to Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest.
Oh,
Yeah. He, like, to me, if you're talking about, because these categories are supposed to single out standouts in that specific area, that film stood out to me as like, this is an amazing directorial achievement.
Yeah.
Like, he did things in there that you don't typically see from a run-of-the-mill project.
And to go off of that, another reason why Poor Things is number 10, like literally the bottom of the totem pole, is because we've barely even touched on it because I feel like it's not even worth, like, it's not worth mentioning. I mean, I could see it maybe have been Best Cinematography.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And but I was really upset. I get why they chose it for hair and makeup.
Yeah.
Best hair and makeup, right? Or best costume design.
Best.
Oh, set design? Oh, gosh. It was...
Who won Best Production Design? Was it Poor Things?
I think it was Poor Things.
I think it was Poor Things.
And hair and makeup was also Poor Things.
Oh, really? It was both? I don't remember.
Okay, well, either way, I know there was a lot of recognition for production design and Poor Things, whether it was nominated and or won.
Yeah.
I don't have it on me right now.
Yeah.
And, or I think Oppenheimer maybe it was one of them.
For what?
Like, this is where, okay, how do you not have Barbie? How do you not have Barbie in there? And I'm probably, this is just me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know. I think Bradley Cooper should have won Best Actor.
Yeah, which we talked about.
So as far as Maestro goes, I wasn't a fan of it in the sense that for the sole purpose of I thought it was going to be about music and it was basically about his infidelity. And I'm just not, it's not my thing. It's not my thing. I found it boring. I don't care about your infidel relationships for 2 hours. I want to hear about the musicians' quandaries of composing. That's what I want. I want like, give me the music.
Yeah.
Not the I'm gonna cheat on you with man type thing.
Yeah. Yep.
But I thought that the hair and makeup was wonderful. I thought it was wonderful. I know that there's some backlash about his nose being too big.
Because
I would like...
he's a Jewish man.
Yeah.
And so it felt a little bit racially charged. But I think the thing to remember is that Leonard Bernstein's family was involved, signed off on, and loved the film.
Right. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is it's like, why... It's like, why...
we don't need to say a ton about that. Yeah.
No, I just... If his family was okay with it, and I'm literally not even saying that, oh, I like it because of his nose.
No, we didn't even think of it.
Was throughout, no, I didn't. It was throughout his entire life.
Yes.
Throughout both him and his wife's entire life, from young to middle to old age. I mean, you saw him, the first scene is him of old age, and you're just like, that doesn't even look like Red.
That was my first reaction. I basically took a gasp, and I was like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that was him.
Yeah.
Like,
actually, yeah, no, Poor Things did win hair and makeup because of Willem Dafoe. And it's like,
oh, yeah.
Sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was nice that they showed a lot of, like, behind-the-scenes stuff when they were announcing each award. So you got to see, like, Willem Dafoe in the chair as he's, like, time-lapse of him getting, all of it put on. But yeah, I mean, I just when I would probably have given Oppenheimer like 2 or 3 awards. Like I think the score, you didn't agree, but I think the score was very good. I think the composer is very talented. He's composed a ton of things from The Mandalorian to Community. And I know that sounds very Academy-esque to be focusing on what he's done, but I remember the score itself. I'm just saying as examples of what he's done because I remember the score itself for Oppenheimer being very good.
Yeah.
And I quite liked it. So I would at least have considered it. It's tough for cinematography. Like, maybe. I actually think Poor Things was really good for cinematography.
Yeah, I agree.
The stuff they did.
That was all, though.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but in the last, if you haven't listened to our last episode, we talked about Saltburn, and we talked about how, like, it's like Hollywood throws so much raunchiness at you that you become numb to it, and it's like you think about porn addiction, and it's like, it literally, like, makes your brain, it turns your brain into mush. And it's like, maybe Hollywood movies are doing that. In my personal opinion, I think Poor Things is, I think it's a dangerous movie to watch. I think there was a line where you went, am I watching porn?
Oh,
like there was so much nudity and sex that I like. It was
distracting.
The thing about it too is that it was boring.
Yeah.
Like Jack and I have a view that like sex on screen is boring to us.
Yeah.
But it's also the same reason for me. Like, and this is just my opinion. Like chase scenes are boring to me.
Action.
Fighting. Not fighting scenes. It's more the chase scenes. It's like, okay, we know you're chased. Like, we've seen this time and time again. It's like the same thing with sex. Like, okay, like we see it over and over. And when we talked the other day, or the other podcast about Saltburn, it was like, oh, you could have made it a little more just tasteful. Even, my goodness, instead of depraved. And,
yes. Yeah.
And this, I think, the whole issue with Poor Things is just like, okay, sure, you have this adult woman in a little girl's brain.
I think other way around.
Adult body.
Yes.
In a little girl, like girl's brain.
Yes, I know what you meant.
And so I think like it's cool, a cool concept, but to have the entire movie focused on like her like discovering her sexuality, it's like, come on, you could have done so much more.
Yeah.
You know, like what about freedom? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I honestly, I probably would have given Best Original Screenplay to Past Lives. That's something we didn't even touch on. Because what won it instead? I don't even know. No, because Poor Things is adapted.
Maybe.
And yeah, that's the one that did.
Yeah, and
which like great film, but I have some thoughts on that film that we can get to when we go in our year in review and kind of rank some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
as far as our top 10 go, like, I think it'd be cool to throw it out to them. Our top 10 as far as the nominees go.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, we can quickly do that if you want.
Are you still recording?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Are you kidding? No, we stopped recording.
I think it's cool. Barbie is our number 1, and also our number 10 is Poor Things. So we're similar. And I would say the biggest, maybe not argument, but the biggest difference for us is my number 2 is his number. Oh, it's 5 now, right?
What?
My number 2 is your number 5.
What is your number 2?
My number 2 is Past Lives.
No, it's not number 5 for me.
Is it 6?
No.
Is it 4?
No.
You moved it down? It was number 6 for you.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
Now, look at this. This is the list that I sent, and you yelled at me.
What's Past Lives for you?
Right now?
Yeah.
7.
It was 6 before.
No, it wasn't. I literally just showed you the list.
I'm even more mad now. Oh.
We talked about this. We don't need to go over this again. Okay.
And then what was your number 2?
American Fiction.
Okay. Where was Maestro for you, though? Number
5.
Okay, yeah, and Maestro was really low for me. That was like our biggest difference.
Why don't you rattle off your top 10, Missy, since you're so critical of other people's takes? Okay. You do that.
And then I'm getting tired.
When she gets tired, the podcast ends, I guess.
Yeah.
We should touch on Dune Part 2, though.
So,
but
how long has it been?
Don't worry about that. Pick your list.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay. Oop. Thanks.
An old list. Do you not remember what it was? This is what you texted. I don't
Barbie is number 1. Past Lives is number 2. Holdovers is number 3. Quick reasoning for why Past Lives and the Holdovers are in my top 3. I don't need to explain Barbie. I think that there is a simplicity to them that is beautiful. And I think sometimes we don't have to have the gore and the sex and the seriousness. Like Past Lives and Holdovers were simple stories that were beautiful, and that really spoke to me. Number 4, American Fiction. Number 5, I have Killers of the Flower Moon, Zone of Interest after that at number 6. Then Anatomy of the Fall, Oppenheimer at number 8, Maestro 9, and Poor Things 10.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to give any explanation. We can go into more detail when we actually discuss our year in review. But my top 10 in order from number 1 to number 10 is Barbie at 1,
Woohoo!
American Fiction 2,
Okay.
The Zone of Interest 3,
Respect.
The Holdovers 4,
Yep.
Maestro 5, 6 is Anatomy of a Fall. You don't need to pass judgment as I'm going through the list.
That's the only
Killers of the Flower Moon is 7 for me. Oh, sorry, I moved this.
Oh, yeah.
Killers of the Flower Moon is 8 because Past Lives, after some discussion and consideration, Steph convinced me and I convinced myself after looking through the list. I moved Past Lives up to 7, Killers to 8, and then Oppenheimer's 9, and Poor Things is 10. So those are our rankings for Best Picture noms. I feel like one day we could actually go through the categories and like decide what we would pick for each category, but that would be a whole separate discussion.
But all in all, these Best Pictures were absolutely stacked, you know?
Yeah.
Like none of these were duds, in my opinion. You know, like I didn't like the story of Poor Things, but Emma Stone was wonderful.
She was great.
It was, you know, I mean, you could just tell how much work she put into it.
And how much work the team put into like the design of it and the look of it. It's like, I mean, beautiful.
As much as it's in my number 10, like I don't look at any of these movies and go like, oh my gosh, this should not have been nominated at all.
No, this is one of the few times that I look at the nominees that the Academy picked and I'm like, that's a really good list. It's not my list. It's not the list I would have chosen. It's not the list I did choose, but it's a really good list and definitely worth seeing all of them.
And we still have Priscilla's Society of the Snow and Freud's Last Session to watch before we officially have our 2023, which we're a fourth away almost through.
I mean, I wanted to watch The Boy and the Heron.
Oh yeah, yes.
So
and Bo was afraid. Shoot.
Yeah. Those are 2 that I plan on watching.
Oh, also biggest upset that Spider-Verse wasn't animated. Like that, I think Jack and I were so upset that we just buried that deep down and we don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, again, The Boy and the Heron won, so I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
It.
But Spider-Verse is amazing, and I don't know how, like,
it's so.
Boy and the Heron would have to be like Christ himself returning to beat it. It's just
Spider-Verse.
I don't know
how that is my number 2 altogether.
Same. Yeah, those are the 2 we have in common.
Yep. All right, that's kind of cool. Our 2023 movies 1 and 2 are
Our Inyon.
Yes, please go watch Past Lives if you want to know what that means.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to take a couple minutes to just talk about Dune Part 2? Should we do that in a second?
Yeah, Dune Part 2. Go see it.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it.
Opening night,
which is
first.
Yep, March 1st. And I'm already going to call that I think it's going to be my number 1 movie of the year. And that's pretty early to be saying that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it because it was that good. And I'll just say I am pretty surprised when I hear people say that they prefer Dune 1. Because I'm like, what movie were you watching? Like, I'm
You're allowed to have different.
No, I know. I just want people to get mad at me.
Yeah, you were pretty angry at your sister when she turned to you and she was like, I like part 1 better. And you were like, what?
Were we at the same movie? It was absurdly entertaining and beautiful.
It's just funny to me because I've seen the original. I'm a huge David Lynch fan, and anyone who knows Dune knows what I'm going to say. His Dune adaptation is a mess, even by his admission. So it's just wild that, like, I knew what was going to happen in this movie, and it still had me gripping the edge of my seat. And, like, when I can feel my sternum and my seat shaking the entire time from the sound, that might be a critique of
my only critique, and part of it is because, like, I have had ear bleeds in the past from, like, I just am really sensitive to sound. And I would say it's a 2-hour and 50-minute movie.
Yeah.
I think I had to plug my right ear for at least a full 2 hours of it. And it was IMAX. It just, like, the sound was so loud. I mean, yeah, like, there were some scenes where, like, my chest was, like, vibrating. So for me, it was a little too loud, and that sucked. Like, my arm was tired at the end of the movie from, like, keeping it up and plugged the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just a viewer, like, well, unless it's a sound design thing, I don't know.
I mean,
I thought it was just a AMC IMAX thing.
I think it was probably a creative choice to make it, like, that loud. But what I would say is just, like, subtitles exist for a reason. I think for people who struggle with hearing, like, maybe that's something that theaters, and who knows, maybe AMC does offer it and we just got to look into it. But, like, for someone who has sensitive hearing, if, like, this intense sound is really hard, maybe they can have, like, a hearing aid thing of sorts to drop the audio level. I'm not sure, but yeah, I thought it was incredible. I feel very similar to Steph in that it's going to be hard to top this one this year. It's the acting was next level. It was really incredible, like, all around. I loved the story and how they told it. I thought the cinematography was just, I was, like, melting. It was so beautiful the way it was shot and directed.
And I love how, like, parallel to the story of Jesus it was. That's always fun as a critic.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, you people like this stuff. Well, guess what?
The Messiah story.
If you read the Bible, it's, like, real. Like, it's like, yeah, isn't this entertaining? Isn't this fun? Is this cool? Guess what? It's real life. Like, not in Dune, but, like, it's
the story.
Yeah, like
the story.
Like, as someone who a few years ago, like, read the Bible from beginning to end, it's like, oh my gosh, the stories in here are so bloody, intense, and, like, awful, but, like, entertaining.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and that was Dune for sure. Yeah.
No, it was great. Stellar cast, stellar director. Denis Villeneuve, the director, he has just hit a home run practically every movie the last decade that he's directed. Just really great films.
Yeah, if you've seen it and or if you've read the book, let us know what you think as far as comparing the two, because neither one of us have read the book yet, and we'd love to know your thoughts. So comment below.
Yeah, comment below and share and give us money. Right? There's a tip jar somewhere.
We need money.
We gotta set that up. No, I think this is a good end to our second episode. We spent a lot of time talking about the Oscars and just encouraging you for going to see a movie. The movie you should go and see is Part 2 and Past Lives.
Past Lives. Holdovers, American Fiction. If you haven't seen Barbie yet, are you even a true American?
Look,
but... and truly go see Oppenheimer too, for sure. Like,
oh yeah,
like I want to know, if you haven't seen Oppenheimer, go see it and let us know if you think it was worth all the accolades.
Yeah, maybe we're crazy.
We probably are a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, maybe that's a good place to stop.
All right.
Well,
go
see a movie. All right, we'll see you guys next time.